The afternoon sun in Lagos made the curtains glow like warm oranges. In Surulere, on a quiet street with hibiscus bushes and the hum of generators far away, Chike's home sat neat and bright. The tiled floor shone because Mama Nkechi liked to mop every morning before work. The sofa had small pillows with Ankara covers. On the center table was a little plate where Chike kept his favorite toy, a red car with one missing wheel. He called it Driver. He said Driver knew all the roads in Lagos and never got lost. On weekdays, life moved like a steady downfall bus. Papa Tunde dressed in a clean shirt and left early with his briefcase. He worked at a logistics office near Apapa, where big ships came and went. He liked to joke that he moved the world one package at a time. Mama Nkechi worked at a bank on the island. She always kissed Chike's forehead before she rushed out. "Ngem," she would say, smiling at him even when NEPA took light. "Read your books, be good, eat your food." Since school was on break, they needed someone to watch Chike. Auntie Ngozi, Papa's younger sister, offered to help. She lived 2 streets away and was often around. People called her kind, and she seemed to know everything about children. She would bring buns or puff-puff in a nylon bag, wipe her hands on a towel, and start the day with a cheerful voice. "My special boy," she would say, ruffling Chike's hair. "Have you eaten? Let auntie check your homework." At first, everything looked perfect. She cleaned the kitchen after cooking. She washed fruits. She sang along to the radio as she arranged the shelf where the family kept palm oil and gari. When neighbors passed by, she greeted them sweetly. "Good afternoon, Mama Kelechi," she would call. "How market?" She told anyone who asked that she was happy to help her brother's family. "Chike is like my own son," she said. "I love children." When Mama and Papa returned from work, there were small signs that made them grateful. The house was tidy. Chike's assignments were ticked with a green pen. His clothes were folded and kept in a neat pile. If the generator had to come on because of power failure, the fuel was already bought and stored. "Ngozi, you are a blessing," Papa said more than once. "What would we do without you?" The only thing that did not flow like before was Chike's laughter. He still smiled, but it was small and short, like a light flicker before darkness. He still played with Driver, but not on the floor where he used to make long roads with string and bottle caps. Now he sat close to the sofa, keeping his body small, holding the toy tight in his fist. When Mama asked how his day went, he said fine. When Papa asked what he learnt, he said nothing much. It sounded simple, but it felt too simple, like he was hiding inside the words. One Friday, they came home early with a small paper bag from the mall. "Puff, puff," Mama sang, her voice soft and happy because she loved to surprise her child. "Ngem, we are back. Come and taste while it is still warm." From the kitchen, Auntie Ngozi came out, wiping her hands on her towel. "Welcome, welcome," she said with a big smile. "How was work?" "Your boy is in his room doing sums. He is such a good boy." "Thank you, Ngozi," Mama said. "You make it easy for us. God bless you." "Yes, thank you, sister," Papa added, patting her shoulder. Chike appeared at the doorway of his room. He was 10, slim like most boys, with bright eyes that used to dance when he spoke. Now those eyes looked like they carried a weight. He did not run into their arms. He stood still, staring at the floor tiles as if they might shift under his feet. "Chike," Mama asked, frowning a little, "don't you want puff-puff?" He shook his head slowly. "Maybe he is tired," Papa said. "He must have played too much." Auntie Ngozi moved toward him and put her arm around his shoulder. It looked gentle, but the boy's body reacted like a small bird that felt a shadow pass. He flinched. It was a tiny movement, almost nothing, but it was there. His shoulder rose and fell, and his breath came out sharp. "Yes, we played a lot," she said with her same bright smile. "Isn't that right, my special boy? Go and bring your school bag. Auntie is going home now." Chike pulled away and went to get his bag. He did not look at her. He did not look at anyone. He held Driver in one hand and the bag in the other. and he moved like someone trying not to make noise. On the table, the warm puff-puff waited, sweet and soft. The house looked the same, the voices sounded the same. But something in the air had changed, like when rain is coming and the leaves begin to whisper. Mama watched her son's small back disappear down the corridor. She told herself that Lagos boys get tired. She told herself that the heat makes children quiet. She told herself that holidays can feel long. Still, under all those thoughts, a small worry began to form, tiny as a seed in the soil of her heart. She did not know its name yet. She only knew it was there, pressing gently, asking to be noticed. Outside, a hawker shouted gala, cold mineral. Someone started a generator. In the distance, a mosque call rolled like a soft wave. Life in Lagos kept moving, fast and busy. Inside the house, Mama passed the puff-puff to Papa and thanked Ngozi again. Everyone said the right words, everyone smiled. Only Chike's toy car, clutched in his palm, stayed silent. It knew the roads. It knew this new bend. It did not speak. It only waited. And as Auntie Ngozi bent to say goodbye, and her hand brushed the boy's shoulder again, he flinched once more, smaller than before, like the last blink of a tired light. No one named it, but it was there.
The night in Lagos can be busy, with horns and voices and distant music. But inside Chike's room, it was very still. His window looked over the compound where a mango tree leaned toward the fence. A security light made small insects spin in slow circles. On the wall, there was a poster of a football team Papa liked, and on the shelf lay school books with his name written in careful letters. On the bed, Chike lay staring at the ceiling, holding driver in one hand and the bed sheet in the other. He tried to count. Counting helped sometimes. 1, 2, 3, up to 20, then back again. But the numbers did not stay. They slipped away like downfall buses you cannot catch. He closed his eyes. When he did, a picture climbed into his mind. It was not sharp. It did not have clear edges. It was like a room seen through rain on glass. He saw a face coming too close and heard a whisper that made his stomach feel heavy. The words wrapped around him like tight rope. "It is our secret game," the voice said in his memory. "If you tell, a monster will take your mommy and daddy. Do you want that, my special boy? You love them." He loved them. Of course he loved them. He loved Mama's warm jollof and the way she called him Nem in a teasing voice. He loved Papa's strong hands and the way he swung him up when he was smaller, making airplane sounds. He loved the way the three of them ate breakfast together when there was time and laughed when the radio made silly jokes. He loved the soft way their house smelled of soap and pepper soup. He loved all of it. The thought of a monster carrying them away felt like his chest was being squeezed from the inside. So he kept the secret. He folded it and pressed it deep down. During the day, he walked around it like a hole in the ground. At night, he fell into it and woke up with his heart racing. He had nightmares where he stood in a long corridor and the lights blinked, and at the end of the corridor, a dark shape waited. In the dream, he wanted to call Mama, but his voice did not work. Only a thin sound came out, like a whistle without air. He began to change in small ways. He did not want to go outside to ride his neighbor's bicycle. He did not want to play football in the compound. He sat on the edge of the sofa where the wall met the cushion, as if the corner could shield him. When someone walked fast near him, his head jerked. When someone laughed loudly, he winced. He learned how to make himself smaller. He folded his arms across his chest when he sat. He kept his hands in his pockets, even when they were empty. Auntie Ngozi's smile in the daytime became like a mask in his mind at night. Her sweet voice turned into a thin, cold sound that slid under his skin. "My special boy," she said when Papa or Mama could hear. "You know Auntie loves you." When they could not hear, the words changed. "You remember our secret," she would whisper. "If you forget, bad things will come. The monster does not like forgetfulness." The toy car driver became his friend. He pressed its cool plastic to his cheek when the heat pressed too much on his skin. He rolled it back and forth across the sheet, listening to the soft broken wheel click. The click said, "I am here." The click said, "I will not leave you." Sometimes he whispered to the car, quiet so no one would hear. "Driver, if I hold you, nothing can take them," he said. "You know the roads. You can drive away monsters." At school, his handwriting became shaky. His teacher wrote a note that he needed more sleep. She could not tell her that sleep felt like a narrow bridge with no rails. She stopped finishing her snacks. Even Puff Puff, once her favorite, tasted like dust. In the kitchen one morning, she stood beside Mama while she packed her food flask. The smell of stew rose up warm and kind. He wanted to step into that smell and hide. "You have been very quiet," she said, tying the small scarf that held her hair back. "Are you sick?" He looked at her hands. He loved those hands. They were soft, with a small scar from when she burnt herself cooking akara. He wanted to tell her. He wanted to pour the secret out like water splashing on the floor so that it would be gone. But memory pulled him back. If you tell, a monster would take them. "Mama," he asked, his voice tiny, "do you and Daddy love me?" She stopped packing. She knelt and looked straight into his eyes. "What kind of question is that?" she said, her voice full and warm. "Of course we love you. You are our world. Why are you asking?" He swallowed. The words rushed to his lips and then stuck there heavy and sharp. His eyes burned. "What if a monster takes you away?" he whispered. "There is no monster," she said gently. "It is just a story." He wanted to believe her. He wanted to draw a line through the memory and say it did not exist. But then the doorbell rang. "Brother Tunde, Sister Nkechi, I am here." Auntie Ngozi's voice floated in from the sitting room. It sounded sweet. It sounded like syrup poured over something sour. Chike's body got tight. He grabbed Mama's skirt and held on like a boy in a storm holding a tree trunk. "Don't go," he whispered. "Please, don't leave me." Her eyes moved from his face to the door and back again. A cold feeling passed through her, like harmattan wind sneaking under a door. She held him close for a moment. "I'm not going anywhere," she said. "I am right here." But when she stood to greet her husband and her sister-in-law, Chike's hand stayed clenched and the secret stayed inside him, curled and watchful. That night, when he tried to sleep, he placed Driver on the pillow beside his head. He whispered a small promise he did not fully understand. He said to the toy, "I will be quiet. I will keep them safe." The house hummed with the sound of a nearby generator. A lizard clicked somewhere in the corridor. The moon climbed above the mango tree. The toy car lay still, a silent witness. And in his sleep, the corridor returned. The lights blinked, and at the end of it, the shape waited again, patient and dark. The week that followed was like many Lagos weeks, hot, busy, and always a little rushed. On Monday, the traffic on 3rd Mainland Bridge swallowed time. On Wednesday, a sudden rain turned the street to mirrors and made the air smell clean. On Friday, the neighbor's baby had a naming ceremony, and drums beat softly in the evening while people laughed and shared small chops. Inside all this noise, Mama Nkechi began to listen in a new way. It was not only to words, it was to footsteps, to breaths, to the spaces between questions and answers. When Chike walked, she noticed he kept close to walls, as if walls could keep him safe. When a glass cup slipped from her hand and clinked against the sink, he flinched so hard that the cup nearly fell. He started waking early, sitting up with his knees to his chest, watching the window as if waiting for it to turn to morning faster. She asked his teacher how he was doing. The teacher said his work was fine, but his eyes looked tired. She said he seemed to be thinking too much. It could be a phase, the teacher said with a small smile. Children change. Maybe he's growing. Mama nodded, but her worry did not go away. A mother knows her child like she knows the smell of her own kitchen. This quiet was not growth. It was fear dressed as silence. That Saturday, she tried to make a soft day. They cleaned together. They played a card game at the dining table. She fried plantain and laughed when they came out too brown. She cut the plantain into hearts and told him she made love shapes on purpose. He smiled, a true small smile, and her heart lifted. In the afternoon, she took him to the market to buy tomatoes. He held her hand the whole time and squeezed it when people brushed too close. She squeezed back. "I am here," her hand said to his hand. In the evening, when the house had settled and the generator's hum was far away, she found him in the kitchen doorway, watching her wash plates. "Mama," he said, voice slow, "can I ask you something?" She wiped her hands and turned. "Anything." If a person says something is a secret, is it always good to keep it? Her breath paused. Not always. Some secrets are for surprises and happy things, but some secrets are for hiding wrong things. Those ones are not good to keep. He looked down. "How do you know which is which?" She bent until her face was level with his. "You ask your mommy or your daddy. We will help you know." His lips trembled. He looked like a child standing at the edge of a pool, wanting to jump but afraid of the water. "Mama," he began, and then the doorbell rang again. "Brother Tunde, Sister Nkechi," Auntie Ngozi's bright voice cut through the evening. Chike's whole body stiffened. The words that had been forming on his tongue scattered like birds. He stepped back into the shadow of the doorway, his fingers twisting the hem of his shirt. Mama felt anger rise and then steady, like a flame that refused to flicker out. She opened the door to find Ngozi smiling, with fried fish wrapped in newspaper. "I brought you something. I know my brother likes fish," she said. "Thank you," Mama said. She took the parcel but did not move aside. "We have already eaten." Ngozi laughed, as if it did not matter. She tried to look past Mama into the house. "Where is my special boy?" "He's resting," Mama said. That night, after Ngozi left, Mama spoke with Papa in their bedroom. The air smelt of shea butter and the faint dust of harmattan that never fully leaves Lagos. "Something is wrong," she said quietly. "Chike is not himself." "He is tired," Papa answered, loosening his tie. "Holiday is long. Boys get restless." "This is not restlessness." He rubbed his forehead. "You worry too much, Nkechi. You always have." Her eyes sharpened. "I am his mother. Worry is part of me. But this is not ordinary worry. He asked me today about secrets. Maybe he is planning a surprise. Children ask strange questions." "He is not planning a surprise," she said. She told him about the flinch she saw when Ngozi touched the boy. She told him about the way he grabbed her skirt. She told him about the bedwetting she found in the morning and how he pretended it was spilled water. Each small story was a thread, and together they made a rope that pulled at her heart. Papa sat down on the edge of the bed. His face, usually bright and firm, looked confused. "Ngozi?" he said, shaking his head. "No. She loves that boy. She watches him. She helps us. This is not a small accusation." "I am not accusing. I am listening to my son." Her voice was not loud, but it was strong. "Tunde, we need to watch closely. We need to ask softly. If I am wrong, I will thank God and apologize. If I am right, we must act." He looked at her for a long time. He loved his wife. He trusted her. But the idea that his own sister could be part of this new shadow felt like a cut that he could not accept. "Let us sleep," he said at last. "Tomorrow we will look again with clear eyes." Sleep did not come easily. In the next room, Chike lay awake, listening to the house breathe. He heard the old fridge click on and off. He had a gecko on the word "shep." He placed driver on his chest and tried to breathe in time with the broken wheel's soft click. In the morning, Mama made up her mind. She watched Chike carry his plate to the sink and wash it with careful hands. She saw the small set of his shoulders, the way his eyes stayed near the floor. Her chest ached. "My son," she said, "this afternoon, you and I will go to the park, just you and me. We will eat puff-puff and drink zobo, and we will talk." He nodded slowly, like someone agreeing to step into the sun after standing in shade for too long. Papa looked between them, torn between doubt and dread. When Mama tied her scarf and reached for her bag, she felt the seed of worry in her chest break open into a decision. She would ask, she would listen, she would not look away.
Freedom Park on Broad Street had shade and benches and the soft buzz of afternoon voices. The city moved around it, busy and loud, but inside the gate, the noise felt kinder. Mama and Chike sat under a tree. A small vendor sold puff-puff from a tray balanced on her head. Mama bought some and tore one open. The steam rose in a white breath. "Taste," she said softly. "Tell me if it is sweet." Chike took a bite. The sweetness spread across his tongue, and for a moment his face softened. Birds hopped nearby, bold and curious. A group of teenagers laughed by the fountain. Mama waited. She did not rush. She watched her son's shoulders and his eyes, and the way his fingers moved over the toy car in his lap. "Chike," she said after a while, "do you know that there is nothing you can tell me that will make me love you less?" He kept his eyes on driver. "Even if it is something bad? Even then, especially then." He swallowed. The world felt strange, as if the tree, the bench, the puff-puff all tilted a little. "What if the bad thing makes a monster angry?" he whispered. "Then we will face the monster together," she said. "Your father and I, we will stand in front of you." He pressed his lips tight. His small chest rose and fell, as if climbing a hill. Tears gathered and trembled, but did not fall. "Auntie said if I talk, the monster would take you and Daddy," he said, the words small and fast, as if he was afraid they might bite him if he spoke them slowly. Mama's breath left her. She moved closer, but did not touch him yet. "Who told you that?" she asked, though she already knew. "Auntie," he said. "She said we play a secret game. She said I should be quiet or the monster will come. She said I am her special boy. But I don't like the game. I don't like it." Mama felt something tear inside her, something quiet and deep. She kept her voice calm, like still water. "Where does she play this secret game?" she asked gently. "In the house," he whispered. "When you go, when Papa goes, she smiles when you come back, but when you go, her face changes." He squeezed the toy car so hard that his knuckles went white. "I tried to make myself small. I tried to hide." Mama's hands shook. She placed one hand on the bench and the other on her heart to steady it. She had guessed, but hearing it made the world slow and sharpen at the same time. She looked into her son's eyes. "Thank you," she said. "You are very brave, very, very brave." His tears fell then, quick and hot. She drew him close, her palm on the back of his head. "Listen to me," she murmured. "Nothing will take me or your father. That monster is a lie people use when they are doing wrong. It is not stronger than truth. It is not stronger than us." When they got home, Mama told Papa they needed to talk in the bedroom. She closed the door and said the words clearly. She watched his face change as if clouds moved fast across it. Confusion, disbelief, horror, then something fierce and burning. He sat slowly. His hands were flat on his thighs. My sister? He asked, but it did not sound like a question. I am sorry, Mama said, tears in her eyes. I am so sorry. This pain touches you, but it touches our son more. We must act. Papa stood and paced this small room with its framed wedding photo and the smell of talcum powder. I will kill her, he said, voice low and shaking. I will... No, Mama said, stepping in front of him. We will not break the law. We will protect our son. We will go to the hospital now, then to the police. We will do it the right way so it does not happen to another child. His jaw worked. His eyes were bright with anger and shame and love. At last, he nodded short and hard. Get the car keys, he said. At the hospital, the doctor spoke gently. She was a woman with kind eyes and patient hands. She explained every step before taking it, asked permission, moved slowly. Chike, you are safe here. Nothing bad will happen in this room. If I ask a question you don't want to answer, you can say stop. You are in control. She spoke like someone building a small shelter of words around him. Mama watched her child cling to his toy and breathe through each moment. Papa stood near the window, fists opening and closing, a storm trapped inside a man. After the doctor finished, she sat with them and explained what would happen next. You did the right thing by coming, she said. We will document everything correctly. I will call a child protection officer to guide your police report. We will also connect you to a counselor. Healing is possible. The word healing felt like a small lamp switched on in a dark corridor. They left the hospital with papers and phone numbers and a plan. The sky over Lagos had turned gold at the edges. Traffic moved like a slow river. In the car, no one spoke at first. Then Papa reached back and put his hand on his son's knee. I am sorry, he said, his voice breaking. I am so sorry. Your daddy is here now. I will not let anyone hurt you again. Chike looked at his father's hand and then at his mother's eyes in the mirror. Something loosened in his chest. He did not feel safe yet, not fully, but the fear was no longer the only thing in the car. There was something else now, strong and steady, like a solid wall beside him. He pressed driver to his cheek and closed his eyes. He was tired. He was brave. He was not alone. They drove on. Ahead of them was a police station. Beyond that, a long road they did not know yet. But for the first time in many days, Chike felt like maybe driver did know the way. The police station was cool inside, with posters on the wall about child protection and numbers to call in emergencies. A female officer with a calm face led them to a small room with a cartoon calendar and 2 chairs. She spoke in a soft, even tone. You did well to come, she said. We will handle this with seriousness and care. We will arrange for a child specialist to be present when Chike speaks. No one will pressure him. Papa gave his statement, his voice tight. Mama gave hers, steady and clear. When it was time for Chike, the specialist sat on the floor so she would not tower over him. She offered crayons and said he could draw if words were hard. He drew a road and a small red car. He spoke a little, then stopped, then spoke again. No one rushed him. The officer took notes. The law began to move. That evening, a team went to arrest Auntie Ngozi. She was at home, watching television, a bowl of groundnuts beside her. When the bell rang and she opened the door, surprise broke across her face, and then fear. Ngozi Okonkwo, you are under arrest for the defilement of a minor. She looked at Papa, reaching out her hand. Brother, please, this is a lie. Papa's mouth was a hard line. Do not call me brother, he said. His voice was quiet and it shook. "Do not ever call me that again." They took her away. Neighbors watched, murmuring. Some shook their heads. Some whispered that she always looked too sweet to be true. Inside the car, where a social worker sat beside him, Chike watched through the window as the officers led his aunt down the steps. He did not feel joy. He did not feel hate. He felt a wide tiredness, and under it something like relief that hurt. He leaned against Mama when she climbed into the back seat and held him. "It is over," she said into his ear. "The monster is gone." It was not fully over, not in one day. Healing does not move like a fast bus. It moves like a careful walker who stops to rest and then starts again. In the days that followed, news traveled fast, as it often does in Lagos. Some family members were angry. Some cried. Some tried to make excuses that sounded like old cloth tearing. Papa stood firm. "My son is not the one to carry shame. The person who did wrong will carry her own load." Chike began therapy with a child counselor at a clinic painted with bright animals. The counselor, Auntie Bisi, had twinkling eyes and a voice like a soft drum. She taught him to breathe slowly when his heart raced. She taught him to name his feelings like colors: red for anger, blue for sadness, yellow for hope, green for brave. She told him that secrets that hurt are not good secrets, and he never had to keep them again. She said his body belonged to him, and no one had the right to take his yes or his no. At home, Mama and Papa changed small things to make the house feel safe. They kept their bedroom door open at night until he fell asleep. They placed a lamp by his bed that made a warm circle of light. They started Friday family nights with suya on the balcony and stories about when they were small. Papa said how he once fell into a gutter while chasing a kite. Mama said how she once burnt a whole pot of beans and laughed until she cried. Chike too laughed. The sound a little rusty at first, then smooth. Sometimes he woke from bad dreams. On those nights, he sat up and placed driver on the lamp's warm base and watched the toy shine faintly. He would go to the sitting room, where Mama waited with a glass of water. She did not ask him to talk when he did not want to. She sat and hummed an old hymn under her breath and rubbed small circles on his back. The house smelled of soap and clean linen. The night air moved through the curtains like a quiet friend. Papa apologized to him many times. He said, "I should have seen. I am your father. I should have known." Chike will lean against him and say, "You know now." They began to take small walks together in the evening, buying puff-puff from the corner woman and counting the yellow keke that passed. Papa taught him how to patch a bicycle tire and how to fold paper boats for when the rain made small rivers at the compound gate. When they went back to church, the pastor spoke carefully. He reminded the congregation that protection is everyone's work and that justice can live in the same house as mercy. But mercy never means silence when a child is harmed. People nodded. Some looked at the floor. Some looked at Chike and then quickly away. He kept his eyes on Mama's hand, and when she squeezed his fingers, he squeezed back. The case moved through the system slowly, as cases often do in Lagos. There were dates and postponements and more dates. Each time, the police officer called Mama to update her. "We will see this through," she promised. When Chike was asked to speak again, the specialist was there. He did not have to see his aunt.
He spoke through a screen to a calm voice that asked simple questions. Afterwards, he was tired, but he was not empty. He felt like someone who had climbed a hill and could see a wider view. One evening, months later, the family sat together on the balcony. The air was cooler. The mango tree rustled softly, and somewhere a radio played an old high-life tune. Mama brought out a plate of puff-puff and a bowl of pineapple. Papa poured small cups of zobo. "To our boy," he said, lifting his cup. "To his courage." Chike lifted his too. "To us," he said, "to our house." He looked at driver on the table. The toy still had its missing wheel. He smiled and tapped it gently. "To driver, the car that knows roads." They laughed. The sound floated out into the Lagos evening and joined 1,000 other sounds. Chike's laughter felt different now. It had a new tone in it, a low note of strength under the light. He knew the bad dreams might come sometimes, like rainy days. He knew there would be questions he could not answer and moments that hurt without warning. But he also knew there were hands to hold and lamps to switch on and words he could use without fear. Justice was not a magic that made everything fine, but it was a door that closed against what should never return. Healing was not quick, but it was steady. It was puff-puff shared on a balcony and a father waiting at the gate and a mother's ear that would always hear. It was a toy car on a table and a boy with a quiet voice that grew stronger each time he used it. When the stars came out, Chike leaned his head on Mama's shoulder and said, "Mama, if a friend has a bad secret, what should I do?" "You tell a safe adult. You tell me. You tell your teacher. You tell someone who will act." "And the monster?" She kissed the top of his head. "Monsters do not like light. We turn on the light together." He looked at the lamp by the balcony door and then at the sky where the city lights made their own kind of stars. He felt small, but not helpless. He felt young, but not alone. He placed driver in his pocket and held his parents' hands, one on each side. They sat there, a little Lagos family, under a wide Lagos sky, breathing in time with the night. The road ahead was long, but they would walk it together. And for the first time since the fear had begun, Chike believed that the road could lead to a place where his laughter lived fully again, bright and open, without a shadow behind it. My friends, the story of the silent toy is not just about Chike, his parents, or Auntie Ngozi. It is about every child around us who may be carrying heavy secrets in silence. It reminds us to open our eyes, to listen with our hearts, and to stand up for those who cannot speak for themselves. Healing begins when truth is spoken, and safety grows when we protect each other. Now, if this story touched you, don't keep it to yourself. Support this channel.
Now, if this story touched you, don't keep it to yourself. Support this channel so we can continue to tell stories that open hearts and bring change. Don't be selfish. Subscribe right now. Share with your friends and family and drop your thoughts in the comments. Let us hear your voice because your words can encourage someone else to speak out or to heal. Together, let us keep building a community of love, protection, and hope. Click that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and join us on this journey of powerful storytelling.